What if I told you that deep inside, there's a secret, an unlockable key that can free you from fear forever? Imagine discovering that what you fear most is nothing but a shadow cast by your own mind, and that the light you've been searching for has always been within you. Fear has been quietly shaping your choices, holding back your dreams, and keeping you stuck in the shadows. It's the silent voice whispering, "You're not enough," or "You can't do this," behind every missed opportunity and every leap you didn't take. But what if fear isn't your enemy at all? What if it's actually a messenger, guiding you to your greatest strength? Today, we're going to explore fear's true nature, not by fighting it or pretending it doesn't exist, but by understanding its roots and transforming it into your most powerful ally. Throughout history, sages and teachers have called fear a guardian, like a dragon guarding a treasure. And that treasure is your true essence, your inner light, your authentic self, and the limitless power you hold to create your reality. To access that treasure, you must face the dragon, not with force, but with awareness and compassion. In this journey, we'll uncover what fear really is from both a spiritual and energetic perspective, why it keeps us from thriving today, and how we've been conditioned to see it as a threat. We'll also share timeless wisdom and practical techniques to help you break free, reset your mind and energy, and step into your true power. Because here's the truth: you can become invincible, not by never feeling fear, but by learning how to walk through it, transforming its darkness into clarity and strength. Fear doesn't just vanish when you ignore it. It dissolves when you truly understand it. You're on the verge of a profound shift, a moment not of physical change, but of awakening to your deepest potential. All it takes is the courage to look inward and face what's been lurking in the shadows. Are you ready to ignite the warrior of light within you? Fear is nothing new. It's an ancient companion, woven into the fabric of humanity since the dawn of time. It's been with us through every challenge and every triumph, often misunderstood, sometimes misused. To truly dissolve its grip, we need to trace its origins, understand how it's evolved, and what purpose it still serves. In early human days, fear was simple, a survival tool, a quick alarm that warned us of predators, fire, or freezing cold, keeping our ancestors alive. It was sacred in its role, necessary and protective. But as we evolved, so did fear. When external threats lessened, fear turned inward, into worries about rejection, failure, loneliness, and the stories we tell ourselves. It shifted from a protector to an invisible prison, trapping our minds and spirits. Ancient wisdom, from the Vedas to Hermetic teachings, from shamans to mystics, saw fear not just as a reflex, but as a potent energy, an energetic barrier blocking us from our true selves. They understood that where fear exists, there's a false sense of separation, an illusion that keeps us disconnected from the truth of who we are. The Vedas called it Maya, illusion, that false belief that we're separate from everything else. They taught that fear arises when we forget our divine nature. Gnostic teachings viewed fear as a distortion, a veil that limits our perception of reality. The ego, the false identity obsessed with survival, feeds this fear to maintain control. Shamans believed fear is alive, something we can confront, communicate with, and transform through ritual and expanded consciousness. Even in philosophy, wise thinkers like Epictetus said that fear isn't caused by what happens, but by how we interpret what happens. And the Neoplatonists believed that the soul is liberated from fear by focusing on eternity and the divine. Fear isn't just ancient history. In Christian mysticism, it's described as the absence of love, the absence of divine connection. St. John said, "Perfect love casts out all fear, because fear is rooted in punishment, and those who love fully have no room for fear." From this view, fear isn't defeated by denial or force. It's transformed through awareness, compassion, and understanding. Fear is like a door, a shadow that appears when we stop resisting and instead choose to observe. Today, fear has taken new forms. No longer the roar of a predator. Now, it's anxiety about the future, the fear of failure, rejection, or not belonging. But at its core, it's still the same. Fear of losing control, of being unseen, or not enough. That's why spiritual reflection is more vital than ever. Modern fear doesn't serve us. It limits us. And if ignored, it can quietly sabotage our purpose, our peace, and our potential. Ancient teachings have left us a map, a reminder that fear is an illusion, a mask hiding a deeper truth. Today, we're going to use that wisdom to learn how to dissolve fear and reclaim our power. What if fear isn't your enemy, but your greatest teacher? What if the very thing you've been avoiding holds the key to your freedom? This idea might seem counterintuitive, but it's the path to liberation. To truly transcend fear, rejecting it isn't enough. You need to understand it. Fear is a mental pattern, a loop of thoughts and emotions stored in your body. It's a bond between your mind and nervous system, something built over time, layer by layer. When you feel fear, you're not facing real danger. You're reacting to a mental story, an imagined threat fueled by past wounds. That's the spiritual truth. Fear often isn't real in the moment. It's a creation of your mind and energy. It disguises itself as logic. Be cautious. Wait for the right moment. But it's really just hesitation. And it whispers, don't take a risk. Hold back or stay small. Fear isn't about safety. It's about control, keeping you stuck in a low-frequency state, rooted in scarcity and mistrust. When fear persists, it creates energetic blockages, like a dam preventing your life force from flowing freely into higher centers of creativity, love, and purpose. Remarkably, fear doesn't vanish once you overcome it. It stays inside, lurking in the shadows of your subconscious. You can have success, love, health, and still feel fear, because its roots aren't in the outside world, but in your internal reactions. That's where spiritual work becomes essential. The soul's purpose isn't to run from fear, but to rise above it, to face it consciously and transform it into light. When you do that, fear becomes a portal, a doorway to your true strength. Walk through it with courage, and you'll discover that on the other side lies your real power. So, how do we face fear? First, recognize that fear is trapped energy, frozen by past experiences like rejection, abandonment, shame, or loss. This unprocessed emotion seeks to be released by confronting it, not avoiding it. That's why what we fear often shows up again and again. It's an invitation to heal. Second, stop resisting. The more you fight fear, the stronger it becomes. Instead, observe it without judgment. Fear craves your attention, so give it to it, but with awareness. Let it be there, and watch how it begins to shift. Third, understand the desire behind every fear. Fear of public speaking. It's your longing to be heard. Fear of rejection. It's your deep desire to be loved. Every fear reveals a hidden treasure, a longing for connection, purpose, or self-acceptance. True inner work is seeing fear as a mirror, something sacred, not something to escape. It's a message from your soul, telling you what's ready to be embraced. Your higher self isn't punishing you, it's guiding you toward your strength. As you start viewing fear this way, everything changes. You no longer run from it or fight it. Instead, you feel it, honor it, and learn from it. And in that process, a new state emerges, an inner power that's calm, steady, and unshakable. This strength doesn't need to prove itself. It simply knows who it is, beyond the stories, beyond the fears. And you're closer to that state than you realize. We've learned that fear isn't an enemy to destroy, but an energy to understand, face, and transform. And the key to that transformation is what many traditions call the fire of initiation, a sacred alchemical process. Ancient alchemists didn't just work with metals, they worked with the soul. Fear was the raw material to transmute into the gold of awakened consciousness. And that metaphor still guides those who see their shadows not as flaws, but as gateways to growth. So, what does it look like to turn fear into your greatest strength? First, recognize that fear has a physical footprint, tightness in your stomach, a constriction in your chest, or a sudden urge to escape. The first step is to fully feel it, without judgment or resistance. Most people try to suppress or avoid fear, but a true alchemist stays present within the emotional fire, saying, "Here I am, I see you, I don't run, I don't fight, I just observe." And something miraculous happens. Fear begins to soften and dissolve, not because it's defeated, but because you're holding it with awareness. Next, reinterpret fear. Ask yourself, what is this fear trying to tell me? Often, it's a message from your deeper self, like you want to be seen or you long for love. Fear is a signpost pointing to your true desires. When you understand that, you realize you are not your fears. You are the space where fears arise. Seeing this is crucial, because when you identify with fear, you give it power. But when you observe it from a higher perspective, it loses its grip, because you're no longer the story it tells. Breathing consciously is a powerful tool in this process. When fear comes up, breathe into it, deeply, intentionally. Inhale, affirm, "I am safe." Exhale, affirm, "I release this fear." Repeat until the energy shifts, until calm replaces chaos. This simple practice rewires your nervous system, activating your parasympathetic state, bringing peace and clarity. And don't forget, fear is meant to be expressed, not suppressed. Through creative outlets, art, dance, writing, or speaking, your emotions can flow freely. Many spiritual teachers emphasize that unexpressed feelings get stuck, so let them out. Sing, cry, move. These are sacred acts of releasing and healing. Finally, replace fear with a higher vibration. Once you've cleared the space, fill it with faith, gratitude, or a clear vision of your future. Repeat affirmations like, "I am safe, I am guided, I am enough." This isn't just about words. This is quantum energy shifting. The universe responds not just to what you say, but to how you vibrate. When you hold a confident, loving energy, synchronicities and opportunities flow into your life. Fear shifts from being your jailer to becoming your teacher, your gateway to true mastery. Once you cross that threshold, there's no going back, only freedom. And here's the best part. You don't need to be fully prepared to start. All it takes is a decision, an inner resolve to no longer let fear hold you hostage. Make the choice today to step forward even when you're scared, to love even if it hurts, to speak your truth even if your voice trembles. Because beyond fear lies a life your soul has always dreamed of, a life of authenticity, purpose, and power. Now that you see fear as energy, a teacher and a doorway, it's time to turn knowledge into action. This isn't just theory, it's a daily practice. True transformation happens in your everyday life, through the choices you make, the thoughts you nurture, and the courage you summon. So, when fear knocks, here's a simple blueprint. 1. Name it. 2. Breathe into it with awareness. 3. Recognize what it's really telling you. 4. Take one small step, symbolic but meaningful. And remember, fear is not your enemy. It's a guide, a teacher, a signpost leading you toward your greatest self. The moment you stop running from it, life stops pushing it at you. Because life isn't here to punish. You're here to learn, grow, and remember your divine power. You are an eternal being, woven into the fabric of everything. A creator, a shining light, a beautiful soul in human form. Understanding your fear is the first step in mastering it. Feeling it without letting it define you. That's how you begin to transform. And acting in alignment, despite the fear, that's how you become the alchemist of your reality. Every brave step you take, even with shaky legs, every word you speak, even with a trembling voice, brings you closer to your true power. This is a lifelong journey, an art you craft moment by moment, choice by choice, emotion by emotion. And here's the most powerful truth. When you stop running from fear, it stops running you. And life, in turn, starts to show you its infinite possibilities, opportunities, synchronicities, and blessings you never imagined. Because fear isn't an obstacle, it's an invitation to remember who you truly are, a divine spark, capable of transforming darkness into light. Vibrate high, serve with love, and walk in faith. Being invincible isn't about never feeling fear. It's about choosing love and trust over doubt and control. And you, right now, have already crossed the threshold. You've begun this journey. The next step is to embody it, to live it, and to share it with others. You're never truly alone. Support is always around you. Higher guidance, your own inner strength, the universe conspiring in your favor. So I invite you, dare to speak, create, love, knowing that all of it is happening in the presence of your own power. If this message resonates, subscribe, hit the bell, share this video, and let others know they're not alone in their journey. Tell us below, which fear are you ready to release today? Remember, the first step to freedom is simply naming it, and from there, the path becomes clear. See you in the next chapter of your awakening.